Hello, welcome to the 225 Q&A practice. We're going to start out with the plaintiff questioning. Ready? Let me ask it again. Do you remember, were you inside the house when you first saw the blood on Daniel? Yes. And that was the first time you saw the blood? Uh-huh. Yes. Nothing further. Was that the first time you knew he had been bitten by the dog? Yes. When you went home, you walked home from school. Who else walks home with you? Sometimes I walk home by myself, and sometimes Daniel and Josh and Jessica walk home with me. The times you walk by yourself, do you ever walk past dogs? No, I always try to take the long way. The long way? There's no dogs on that path? Well, there is, but I always like where the dogs are. I know where the dogs are, so I cut around the other side. Then when I go down this way and past the dogs, I turn that way. When you say the other side, are you saying the other side of the street? No, the other side of where the dogs are. I walk through the alleys and past the dogs, and then I get back into the street and I start walking straight. So the long way is that you walk through the alley? No, I walk in the street, but whenever there is a dog, I go through the alleyway and I turn down to pass the dogs. You walk through. Is it a residential area? There's homes? Yeah. And there's homes on both sides of the street? Yes. Normally you walk in the street? Yes. And that's to avoid the dogs? Yes. No, he said he goes through the alleyways to avoid the dogs. I thought he said through the streets too. No. The alleyways, the alleys. How about when you're with your brothers and sister? We just go to this way by our school, walk down this way, go straight. We just go straight down the road. Do you take the long way? Yeah, sometimes we take the long way. Sometimes we just take the shortcut. Just walk down through there. Are there certain dogs on the shortcut? Yes. Are there certain dogs you don't like? Yes. There's particular homes you don't like going by? Yeah. Do you know what type of dogs those homes have do you know what type of dogs where the homes are that you... No, I don't see them. They just bark. Are they behind like a wooden fence? Yes. So you can't see the dogs? No, you actually can't see them. You can just hear them. Yes, I see this big Rottweiler that's in the fence. That's over there, right there, like this one. And you are referring to photograph E? Yes, like a fence like that, but he just runs back and forth. He doesn't bark or nothing. He just runs left to right, but it scares me. You're not afraid of that Rottweiler? Well, not really, as long as he can't get out. You're not afraid of seeing the dogs? Not really. So then what you're afraid of is the noise that they make. Yes, I have no more questions. Just a couple more quick ones, honest. Here we go. Go ahead. Did you change the route that you took home from school after your brother was bitten, or did you walk the same route? We sometimes take the long way or the shortcut, both. But before the dog bite, did you sometimes take the long way and sometimes take the short way? We never took the short way before the dog bite. Excuse me, the only thing I didn't ask is whether we were in California or Texas. It was in Texas. Okay, thank you, Texas. After the dog bite, while you were still in California, did you walk home from school? No. How did you get home? My mom came and picked us up, or sometimes we took the school bus or went to a friend's house. So you didn't walk home from school when you were in California? No. After the dog bite? No. Then when you were in Texas, you took different routes, the short route or the long route home from school? Yes. Was there any reason why you would take a short route versus a long route on a particular day? Yes, because some days we take the shortcut. When I don't have homework, we take the shortcut. When I do have homework, we sometimes take the shortcut or the long way. Before your brother was bitten, did you avoid dogs when you were walking down the street or dogs that were behind fences? Yes. You would avoid them? Uh-huh. How come? I just wanted to get home faster. I didn't want to stop. I just wanted to keep going. Before your brother was bitten and when the dogs jumped up on the fence, were you afraid of that? No. Nope. When the dogs jumped on the fence after your brother was bitten, were you afraid? Well, yes, I was. When Josh was coming from the neighbor's house towards you, was it Josh? Yes. When Josh was coming, was he saying anything to you? Did he ask you any questions? No. Did you say anything to him? No. Were you crying? Yes. Did he ask you why you were crying? No. When Daniel was hopping in the garage toward you as he opened the door, did you wonder why he was hopping? Yes. Did you ask him? No. I don't have any further questions. I just have two. Here we go. You took your time now. It's my turn now. Before your brother was bitten, were you afraid of barking dogs? No, except for I was afraid of loose barking dogs. Before your brother was bitten? Yes. Had you ever come across loose barking dogs? No, only when they are inside the fence. So if you could see the barking dogs, yes. Sorry, if you could see the barking dogs, you were afraid of them? He said if they were loose, he was afraid. But then he said something about in the fences. If they were in the fence and they were barking, then I don't care. But if they're outside and barking loose outside the fence, that's when I run. That's when you are afraid? Yes. That's before your brother was bitten? Yes. And now that since your brother was bitten, you are still afraid of dogs that are loose and barking? No, not that much, because some of them are my sister's friends' dogs, and they are not that mean or anything. So some of your sister's friends have dogs? Yes. What type of dogs? I don't know, just weird kind of dogs. That's her boyfriend? Yes, okay. What did you say? Let the record reflect he was referring to her boyfriend being the weird dog. Let's go off the record, back on the record. Are they big dogs? Yes. You're not afraid of those dogs? No. Even if they're around you loose? No. And if they're barking, do they bother you? No. And how many of those dogs do your sister's friends have? Just one dog. So you've only been around one other dog besides your own? No, I went around some other dogs. So some of your other friends have dogs? No, those aren't her friends' dogs. Those are just other dogs, but they don't bite or bark or anything like that. They're just little dogs, like puppies. And whose dogs are those? I don't know, some people's dogs. You don't have any trouble being around those dogs? No. You're not afraid of them? No. Are they puppies, actually little? Yes. Not full-grown dogs? No. I think that's it. Same stipulation as before. The only thing I'd like to request is that it be extended 60 days because I was thinking about the burden on Mrs. Nugent that she'd have to be reading all of these 3 very lengthy depositions to all of her 3 boys. I don't know if of any imperative hearing coming up. So 60 days would be okay with me. Is that all right with you? Yes, satisfactory. Should we put her under oath just long enough for her to go under oath that she will read the depositions truthfully and faithfully? I don't think that's necessary. We agreed that she's going to read it to them the same way it is verbatim. So, okay, same stipulation. Same stipulation with the amendment of 60 days instead of 45 days. And I wanted to state for the record, since it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the boys they were on a plane yesterday for 7 hours. So there's a lot of fatigue here. With that in mind, we can get going with Josh. Thank you. I'll stipulate to the stipulation of 45 days and 60 days. I'm not sure what the basis is for determining that the boys are under a lot of fatigue. I think Kyle said it is correct. They were on a plane yesterday for 7 hours. Considering their age, that's pretty tiring. Don't you agree, counsel? I'm not sure I necessarily agree. Children might be able to take a long plane ride better because they naturally have more energy. I'm making a statement for the record. You don't have to stipulate to it because I could have people testify to it if necessary. Or we can ask him. Do you stipulate? So stipulated. Okay, I'll switch transcripts. This is going to be plaintiff attorney. And this previous aggressive behavior on his part, this is something that you picked up during your interview with him, is that correct? Yes, I have no further questions. Redirect counsel. Thank you. Doctor, if I were to restate the test or give the test again, whether or not Mr. Johnson was legally sane or insane, if the test were to be in 2 phases, one, knowing the quality of his acts or understanding the quality of his acts, would your opinion be different than the statement that was made with regard to knowing and understanding? Your Honor, it's a leading question and it seems to be ambiguous and compound. I will sustain it. You may rephrase it. Go ahead, counsel. Doctor, is it your understanding the test is twofold, to wit, knowing and understanding the nature and quality of the act? I think you are breaking 2 things down that are very similar and interrelated, basically comprehending what is happening. Is there a difference between knowing and is there a difference between understanding? If you use understanding to mean really comprehending all that is happening at the time, yes. Then there is a difference between the 2? Yes. After your examination of Mr. Johnson and the facts, all of the input of facts that you have received, do you have an opinion as to whether or not Mr. Johnson knew the nature and quality of his acts? Your Honor, it's been asked and answered. I think it's proper on redirect. Overruled, you may answer. I believe that this ability to comprehend the quality of his actions, the nature of his actions, was very seriously impaired by his psychotic state. Do you have any opinion as to whether or not he could understand the nature and quality of his acts? One can't make a definite statement on that, except beyond saying that this ability to understand was probably very seriously impaired. Doctor, in response to Mr. Enright's questions with regard to the beginning sequence, I believe your statement was that the beginning sequence started with the firing of the rifle, these events that took place on December 6th, this morning of December 6th. In your examination of Mr. Johnson, is that your starting point with regard to the hallucinosis when he first fired the rifle? No, the most vivid thing was back at the bar where he first saw the face, the devil face. That was the onset of the acute hallucinosis. Did you have any facts that indicated to you that he was continuing to see this face at his residence? His statement, based on both his recollection and what he said had been told to him, that he had been punching holes in the wall trying to hit it with his fist. Did you have any independent facts other than from Mr. Johnson that indicated to you that there had been some holes punched in the walls over at his residence? Yes. Would your opinion have changed if your information would have been that Mr. Johnson was firing a weapon at his house rather than punching holes in the wall? I don't think it would change greatly. It's still a catastrophic response to a frightening situation. At the time of your examination, were you aware of Mr. Johnson's blood alcohol level? No. At the time of your examination, you were aware that Dr. Hunter had previously examined Mr. Johnson? Yes. Were you aware of the content of Dr. Hunter's report? I had glanced over it, yes. Now, in glancing over Dr. Hunter's report, did you notice that there were some inconsistent descriptions of what took place and some inconsistent recollections between what Mr. Johnson had told you and what he had told Dr. Hunter? No, I don't recall that. It wasn't that familiar with his report. Pardon me? I wasn't that familiar with his report. I just saw that he had submitted one. Hypothetically, doctor, is there any significance in an inconsistent statement being made by someone suffering from acute hallucinosis? Your Honor, that is argumentative. That is leading and suggestive. Will you reread the question, please? I will withdraw it, Your Honor. I will withdraw it. Let him answer if he can. I don't recall. You don't recall the question? Will you please reread the question, please? They often make inconsistent statements about some of the contents of things that occurred during these acute states. Would these inconsistent statements be as a result of his recollection function of the brain trying to avoid recalling what really took place, or would it be, yes, go ahead, yes, and also sometime later, when the thing is filled in, they will have trouble really recalling what really happened and what they found out later happened? Do they have any type of difficulty in distinguishing between what really happened and what someone else had told them? Possibly, yes. You were mentioning something about they sort of fill in the areas that they really can't recall and they fill it in with what someone else told them. Is that what you are referring to? Sometimes this occurs, yes. Okay, that concludes our Q&A for the 225 class. Have a great day.